There we go.
Well, first up, thank you everyone for inviting me back this year. I'm very excited to talk to you. I'm glad you hyped me up this much. Like this is a good introduction to follow, and I hope that I live up to it. I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen so you can see what's going on here. You get to see my slides. Can everyone see?
Yes.
Perfect. So first about me, I'm operations manager. I've been at MOCA 3 years. The best way I like to describe what I do in short is somewhere between air traffic control and making sure the building doesn't burn down. I'm the person that coordinates between all of the departments to make sure we know what's going on. I handle all of the facility concerns. I coordinate with public programs, making sure that the things we need happen in the most timely fashion as possible. And that can be anything from dealing with county permits for parking all the way to we need to make sure all of these media things get turned in time. Really just most of the administration for what makes the business part of this art institution work. Like it says here, I coordinate with public programs. We actually have a public programs manager, Sarah Loden, who also runs all of our programs over at our sister site, sister daughter site, I'm not quite sure, satellite location over in Pentagonless City. I'm also an artist myself. I got my MFA from GW. I graduated with my graduate degree in 2020, and I did undergrad in North Carolina at UNC Wilmington. And so if you have any questions about the museum, feel free to ask me. I love telling people about it. But that talking about me is not why I am here. About MOCA, just in case you guys don't know, I know that we have a good relationship with you guys, but for anyone who may not be familiar with us, we're founded by artists in 1974. This year was actually our 50-year anniversary. We are a nonprofit and not county funded. We get grants, and some grants may be from the county, but we are a separate independent entity from the Cultural Affairs Division of the county. We have art studios upstairs for artists. We have an artist residency that is, you can apply, get your art studio, you get a show. We have summer camps and classes for all ages. I've been asked so many times, like, where do you stop? Our system says 5 to 99 plus. If you're not under 5, you can take a class with us, and we have tons of different offerings year round. Our gallery is completely free. We were actually chatting with this prior. Some people say, why should I go to MOCA when I can go to the Smithsonian for free? We are also free, and we're slightly closer. And why not both is what I like to say. And we also have all these free public programs. Dia de los Muertos is one we offer that's really popular. We also have done ones for Pride Month. We have done all sorts of community days. We're a host for Made in Arlington. So if you ever want to go to that kind of art fair, see some local artists that are selling their wares, we post that too. And then our satellite location, which there's a picture down here, is the Innovation Studio and Store at HQ2 over in Pentagon City with Amazon. That is a free art making space where people can come in and draw or watercolor, talk with an artist. It has its own artist residency. So the main goal of MOCA is to bridge the gap between the gallery, which has a very monumental feeling, there is the art on the wall and you do not touch, you do not breathe too hard, versus introducing people to artists and really embracing that human connection. So Dia de los Muertos we love this event. We've hosted it for so long that no one could really tell me when it started, and I definitely asked a bunch of people, but we did not start this holiday. This is the best description I could find, where it's pre-Hispanic Aztec rituals. So that means before the Spanish invaded Mexico and the rest of South America, there were the starts and the seeds of this holiday to honor people who've passed on and commune with those family members, and really reaching out for that kind of love. And then it blended in with the Catholic All Saints Day, which is around the same time they were already starting to celebrate this event. Now, we partner with Arlington cultural affairs. Like I said, we are not part of the county government, but we partner with them a lot. Arlington Cultural Affairs, if you're not familiar with them, they also do tons of artist residencies, artist resources. They have the art truck and a bunch of other things. And they support the arts in Arlington. They have been doing this event with us for 12 years at least. But like I said, when I asked the people over in their department, they couldn't tell me. They're like, we've been doing this since I've been here, so at least this long. And we also partner with David Amoroso Art. He is an Arlington-based artist who specializes in Latin American art and culture. You can look him up. He's got a lot of really cool works that he does. This is actually a picture of some work he did at one of our Prius Dia de los Muertos celebrations. Before I delve too deep, are there any questions at this moment about what I've covered so far?
Nope, nope. There are no questions in the chat.
Well,
Oh, we do have a question. How long is the Reclining Liberty going to be there?
through September 2025, we were able to extend it officially last month with the county government. And if you get a chance to stop by, I don't want to make this about that, but the artist is Zach Landsberg, who's based out of New York, I believe. One of the things that makes the Contemporary and Museum of Contemporary Art is all of the artists we are working with are current living artists. We have had a couple who have unfortunately passed while we have had their works with us, but the main goal of contemporary art is these are people you can currently meet, and that's the opportunity that we want to have. So Zach will probably be back at some point to talk to you about his sculpture that's once it retires from us, is going to a sculpture garden in New Jersey. So November 1st and 2nd is Dia de los Muertos. It is celebrated in all of the countries I have listed on this slide, but primarily it is celebrated in Mexico. And so I just wanted to say that although it's celebrated in all of these countries, or they have some type of variation of it, I'm focusing on how it's specifically celebrated in Mexico, because that's the country that a lot of the practices we do here are based in, but I don't want to make it seem like all of them celebrate it the exact same way. It's very similar to Christmas. Christmas in America is not the same as Christmas in Wales, etc. The core of it is it's a day of remembrance for loved one. It is not Mexican Halloween. I chose this picture from Coco. I'm not sure if any of you have seen this film that came out recently, but it's a film inspired by Dia de los Muertos and really finding and making sure you keep the memory of people you love dear, even though they've passed on. That doesn't make you love them any less, and this day is really focusing on that. The day is usually, depending on the area, it is celebrated over at least 2, usually 3 days. The first day is for children who have passed on. The second day is for specifically adults. And then the third day is kind of a culmination of the two. The important symbols that you will see at any Day of the Dead celebration, we definitely do a lot of this, is the first is the ofrenda, which is, it means offering, but is specifically an altar where you lay out gifts. One of the things we do at our celebration is we invite anyone who is coming to bring a picture of your loved one that you can also remember them at this offering table. That is the practice. So some families will set up their ofrenda, they'll have pictures of the loved ones, and that's how they celebrate. So since this is a community event, we want to invite the community to bring photos of their loved ones that they want to remember. Our public programs manager, her father passed away recently, and so she's going to be bringing a photo of him, and we just want to make sure we make that connection. The other symbol is marigolds, which we'll get into a little bit, monarch butterflies, which all of these will be covered in depth shortly, and sugar skulls, which sugar skulls are the main image that people think of when they think Day of the Dead. I have one very conspicuously in all of my slides to kind of theme it to the day. Now, the ofrenda has 2 levels. One represents heaven, one represents earth. It usually has items representing the 4 elements, so candles for fire, water, or some other drink for the deceased. Earth is represented by food, because food is usually grown from the soil, so you'll have, like you can see here, oranges and bread, of course coming from wheat. Air will have paper flowers, so they move with the wind. Copal, which is a scent that purifies the altar. Scents are very important to Day of the Dead is supposed to help lead the person to your location. Which brings us to marigolds. I found this photo very beautiful where all of these are live marigolds that they brought in for the event. I don't want to be disrespectful to the language, so I'm pretty sure it's Kempasuchil, but I'm not going to say that's the proper way to pronounce it. If someone knows, feel free. But that is the Mayan word for marigolds, and they are native to South America. They have a very particular scent, and so the idea is that the scent can kind of transcend worlds and lead people to the offering to their families so they can celebrate. You'll also see a lot of photos if you look this up where there will be trails of marigolds and marigold petals leading to the ofrendas as a trailway. And if we go back to here in Coco, all of this yellow is marigold flowers. So it's a very thematic element of leading the dead back to the present. Our next image is monarch butterflies, which I know personally, I was like, oh, that's interesting. I wouldn't have pictured that. But every year monarchs migrate, say that 3 times fast, back to Mexico. And the time they come to Mexico is around the time of Dia de los Muertos. And in some cultures, it's believed that their spirits returning back to the land of the present, which we see this kind of symbology in so many cultures. I know like some people believe if you see a butterfly at someone, if it's you see a particular bird or a particular animal multiple times, it's someone coming to visit you. So it's kind of, this is a through line we see in a lot of cultures. I have this photo here, which when I looked at it, I was like, okay, that's a lot of butterflies, but it's kind of hard to parse what's going on. So I wanted to show you guys this video of the monarch migration so we could really see.
In the heart of this grove.
Let's see the heart of this grove. I'm going to do a little switcheroo here and let me know when you see. Is this visible for everyone? Perfect. And I'm gonna turn the volume down because the narration doesn't quite matter as much.
Monarch butterflies lie sleeping. They have traveled from as far as Canada to escape the cold northern winter. How they return to this exact spot is a mystery. Like the butterflies, hummingbirds feed on nectar, so our spy isn't seen as a threat. While resting, they cluster together to conserve precious warmth. But as the winter ends, the sun warms their fragile wings. Once they reach a critical 50 degrees, they start to fly. As the day warms, the forest comes to life. Spy hummingbird won't harm these delicate butterflies. Its moving parts are shielded to keep them safe. Butterflies can even safely land on its wings. It begins to capture something quite extraordinary. What starts as a trickle soon becomes a stream. Then grows into a cascade. A spectacle that has rarely been filmed. And our spy is harmlessly in the very heart of it. Beauty also lies in the detail.
I found personally that looking at the image was one thing, but conceiving of what a 500 million butterflies in one space looks at, you really have to see the video. And with that, those images in your mind, you can kind of see how it became a religious experience to imagine walking through the forest and then you see all these butterflies. It's very transcendental. And so it became this symbol of your loved ones coming back to visit you. And it could be, honestly, 500 million is a lot. That could be everyone you've ever known and all the people they know coming back to visit at this time. This is also at the same time also aligns with harvest as well. So there's tons of harvest celebrations, and Dia de los Muertos really aligns with all of these times at once, but focusing on the return of loved ones to the current space. Lastly, and most popularly, is the calavera, which that means sugar skull, and it has a kind of, I'd like to say a threefold nature here. You have the standard sugar skull, which is a candy offering. There's lots of details on how they make sugar skulls. When you put them on an altar, you can write the name of a specific person on them, and it's supposed to be representative of that person. Um, it can also refer to La Catrina, who there is this cartoonist Jose Guadalupe Posada made this character as a representation of kind of the bourgeoisie at the time, making fun of them. And then because you have that through line of the skull, it's been conscripted over and over into Dia de los Muertos. And so that's the origin of these these sugar skull makeups. So you have both the character and the sugar skulls. They kind of all percolate into, now we have these more thematic characters. The best way I can think of it is kind of the origin of the Easter Bunny or Santa Claus, where there's 5 different ways you can explain why we're using this imagery, but they all are all thematic with this holiday. Now, all of this to be said, what does that have to do with MOCA and what we're doing on November 1st? So we have art activities. Sorry about that typo there, where you can make your own sugar skull mask. We have some activities involving monarch butterflies. There's going to be live dancing from one of the groups in the area that does traditional Mexican dances. There's going to be a mariachi band joining us. And also, we try to make sure we have lots of programming at the time. We have lots of good food. Food is very important to Dia de los Muertos because just like any family gathering, you guys were just talking about Thanksgiving. When you're getting everyone together, friends and family, you got to have food for us to celebrate with. We're featuring Little Miner Taco and Saltinas Camila. Little Miner, of course, is a taco truck. Saltinas Camila is Bolivian food. And both of those countries are countries that celebrate Dia de los Muertos, so we wanted to make sure the food was culturally accurate to the holiday that we're celebrating. Rosanna, if you've ever been to MOCA on a Tuesday or a Wednesday or any of our events really, we have our favorite coffee truck, Rosanna. They are doing a themed drink for the day. It's going to be a Mexican hot chocolate, so it's going to have some cinnamon and some spice to it, which is very exciting. I am definitely biased, but their drinks are delicious and I heavily recommend them. Vendors that we're working with, we have Mariachi Los Amigos, which is a mariachi band. The dance group is called Los Quetzals Dance. We're going to have a poet there, Edith Graciela Sanabria poetry. Little Miner Tacos, Saltanas Camilla. AVLD Events is going to be doing some really amazing lighting for the event. We're probably projecting onto the building. David Amoroso is going to be building our ofrenda and, having the altar there for us to bring photos to and decorate and light well, we can't light candles because I'm operations and we cannot have live flames, but you get the idea. That's why we have the lighting company. And then also, of course, we work with Arlington Cultural Affairs, and they're going to be doing some cool setups as well. Now, this is a photo from one of our previous years where we do the picnic on the lawn and such. This event is November 1st from 5 to 8 p.m. If you come in at, say, 4:30, you can see the museum and still be here for when all the events starts. So that's a really good timing for it. It's going to be at our main location, which is Wilson Boulevard 3550. We are directly across the street from the Virginia Square Metro. We are the people that have the large Statue of Liberty in the front. We're very hard to miss. Find the large green lady and you're at the right spot. This
Rhea,
is our general visiting information. Like I said, we're the people with the green lady in the front lawn. We are open to the public Wednesday through Sunday, 12 p.m. to 5 p.m. And then our sister store is over in Pentagon City. That's open Tuesday to Saturday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Both locations are completely free to visit. So feel free to drop by. If you want to have a more contemporary art experience, come to MOCA Prime, essentially, where we have the art galleries and the artist residency studios. The Innovation Studio also has the one residency, but that's also more of a interactive, where if you just decide, I want to go watercolor for a bit today, that's the place you go. And if you guys have any questions or decide that you want to put together, say, a guided tour of the galleries or anything like that, please email us. We do those all the time. We're happy to do small groups or large groups. Just let us know, say, a week or two in advance, and we can set something up. So feel free to visit us. We're happy to have you.
Rhea, thank you. I know that Liz has a question. She typed it in the chat, but I know she can get herself off mute and ask it directly.
Sounds good to me.
Get myself off of mute. Ha. Okay.
Oh, I like your photo. Is that from last year?
Yes.
Yes.
It is. And before I had your altar up, basically I was interested, I remember like in the 70s and 80s, there was a Latin American, or I guess a Central American community in Clarendon. And I wondered, will there be anything about the history of Central American people in Arlington itself?
At this particular one, no. We have done partnerships with the Columbia Heights Project and different groups in the area. At this particular one, no, but we always try to reach out. Cultural Affairs has reached out, but every now and then groups could just kind of miss each other. So not at this one, but we're open to it and have reached out in the past, but sometimes schedules just miss each other, unfortunately.
Butterfly video, and luckily I think I've seen them on TV and stuff like that. I liked the drone even more. That was amazing.
Right? I can send you a link to that video because it's from a PBS documentary, and it's of course a small clip, but they go into it in the larger video. I believe they actually explain like how that drone came to be. Because you can't really, when they've sent people in the past, it freaks out the butterflies. And as you can see, it's so many that it would be hard to even maneuver without bumping into them, and they're extremely delicate.
I know that Steve has been, really doing a great job of putting links into the chat as you've been talking, to the Contemporary Art Museum, to David Amoroso's website, and other materials. So just know that we have been sharing more information in the chat as you've been talking.
Yes, thank you so much, Steve. I really appreciate that.
Do we have any other questions from folks on the line? I think this idea of having a small guided tour is really very interesting. We've got an events committee that thinks about activities. One, certainly the large events we do, you're hearing about Thanksgiving and holiday season. But we also do smaller gatherings. And I think the idea of a small guided tour would be very attractive, even perhaps in the winter time, when people are looking for inside activities. So I'm sure we'll be in touch with you
Oh,
about
that
that.
sounds wonderful. I should know this off the top of my head, but let me just do a little lean and check. Okay, so this particular show is up through January.
Mhm.
Then we're going to close for a little bit and then open up with our spring shows. Unless we're counting. Our season's a little bit off, so
But
okay,
I mean,
this fall we're gonna open our winter in February.
right.
Sorry about that.
We're very flexible, so we can look at, we can connect with you and you can give us best advice on when to
Sounds
go.
good.
But I think this will be a new year kind of thing, not within the next couple of months.
That sounds wonderful for us. Like we have our residency coordinator slash curator slash collectors program manager is on site who can give tours, as well as our head of exhibitions, who's a powerhouse of a person. I love her, who is also available to give you really insightful talks about it. And plus, we have events for our exhibitions where you can meet the artists. So our resident show right now is Marissa Stratton, and she's giving an artist talk. I believe they told me in February, but it's going to be on our website. And
Right.
if you want to join our mailing list, it'll be on there too, as well as we'll have other artists giving artist talk about various and sundry exhibitions that they are in.
Got it.
So Rhea, I was going to ask you, do you also, does the museum provide opportunities for other groups in Arlington, like theater groups, or, because if I remember correctly, I came over to MOCA one time and there was a play reading in
Yes.
that beautiful room in the back where the windows.
Tiffany Gallery.
Is that an active part of your mission to reach out and have more people do
Short
events
answer?
there?
Yes. Short answer is yes. We have a small staff, so I'm sure you guys know that we try to keep our programming aligned with how many people we have to support it. But we have had a couple theater groups, Nova Night Sky and Avant Bard most recently, I think it was last weekend, did a reading here. We
Right.
have a gallery called the Community Gallery that is specific to community groups. So we had Columbia Heights Project. We have had Arlington Weaves, which is through Service Source, which helps people with specialized needs. We have had, I think upcoming, we're going to have a show for art teachers of Arlington to actually be able to display their work. We've had other small painters groups in the community gallery as well. So that gallery is specifically only Arlington and for groups like that, as well as we've had Jane Franklin Dance do performances here. There's usually, if you reach out to us and it's something that we have the bandwidth to support, we're happy to have community groups here. Part of our mission and our agreement with the county is that we have to, have to implies we don't want to, but part of our whole goals and orients here is to provide services specifically for county and local residents. And so the short answer is yes. Yes, we have other groups come here. Usually you'll see in the branding, like, hey, this is our partner for this event versus they are just using our space. We've even had Animal Welfare League host their fundraising gala here, and we give them we have a specific nonprofit rate to make sure that, other nonprofits are able to do the things they need to do to function.
And is that information on your website so that if organizations are interested, that they can get the information and learn what the process is?
There should be a page on our website that says events. However, the shorter thing to do too is email me. Email me and I can either get you the events packet or connect you with our events manager, depending on what you're doing. Because if it's more of a private event or corporate event, then it's through the events manager. If it's not, then it's a separate, we can work with you to figure out what it is and get you what you need.
Right. Okay. So, and does your organization work with Arlington for the Arts, with Janet Copenhagen, I think her name is.
Yes, in some because all of the arts organizations in Arlington have Arlington in the name, it can get confusing. We're separate organizations. However, we have done some cross promotions. Janet Copenhaver's been here for a couple times. The other person we work with a lot too is Susan Sirocco, who does the Made in Arlington thing. We're part of a VAST, which I am drawing a blank on what the acronym for a VAST is, but it's essentially, it might be Artist Studio Tours, I think. But you can go on studio tours of Arlington artists, and we're part of that. We're part of the Arlington Art Walk in conjunction with George Mason, and I'm gonna finish my coffee so I can remember everyone's names appropriately. But
It's
but
okay.
we're part of the Arlington Art Walk as well. So we do try to do a lot of community outreach and partnering with other programs.
Okay.
And we're part of Arlington. We've worked with Arlington Sister Cities as well, because there's a playground nearby us that
Yes.
is, yes. And that was a gift from a German artist through Arlington Sister Cities.
Okay. So, but you are primarily focused on Arlington-based organizations. I mean, does it go beyond Arlington?
We've worked with DC organizations.
Okay.
We've worked, I mean, it's the DMV. We're all
Okay.
kind of close to, there's no ban on how far we're willing to go for the shows outside of the community gallery, because we have 9 galleries here. The community gallery is just one of them. We have had an international spotlight that's featured people from Iran and Ukraine. We have the biennial that's been, I think it was 12 different states were represented at one point. This current biennial, I haven't even checked, so I'm sure it's multiple people over the US. But we try to keep a variance of making sure we're supporting our hometown, as well as trying to be that springboard for mid-range artists, because like we say, you can't go from art school to the Smithsonian, and we want to be one of those places they show before to help them get to where we know they can be.
And have you ever partnered with the National Museum for Women in the Arts at all? The one downtown?
I feel like we have, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
Our current executive director worked for the Smithsonian, so she has and she worked there for, I believe, 9 years, so she has tons of contacts, as well as Blair. The art world in DC and the DMV is very small, so everyone kind of knows. We just did a tour with the Krieger a couple weeks ago, where people from our collectors program went to tour the Krieger. So I'm sure that we probably have or have been in talks with it. It's definitely a possibility, but I don't want to say for sure because I don't remember what the specific program was.
Okay, because that's actually not part of the Smithsonian, but they were founded, of course, and you probably know this, years ago, because oftentimes women artists are under recognized, and so they figured, well, they recently underwent a major renovation, so they're done on New York Avenue. So
yeah, I've been over there before, and
okay.
I'm pretty sure we had some discussion with it was a long time ago, so I don't want to say the wrong thing, but I'm sure that it's a possibility if the opportunity comes up. We've also had a event at one point where one of the people we work with curates the gallery at the Argentine embassy, so we've done visits there. So it's definitely a possibility, is the short answer.
Great.
You mentioning that's really funny. We actually had someone come in and say that men were underrepresented in the arts, and he did not like that we had an all-female staff at the time. It was a very funny interaction.
Wow. Well, sounds like you're doing a lot of great work there, so good for you.
Thank you. I saw someone just come on camera. Margie, did you have a question?
Margie, you're
okay. No, I just finished eating. I don't like to be on camera and have everybody watch me eat, so I
Well,
turned the
sorry about
camera
that.
on
I didn't
late.
mean to draw attention to you. I just saw the
No
movement. I was
problem.
like, I hope that is that a question?
Okay. Well, Wendy, do you have anything to add?
Nope, I think we're good. I really enjoyed the presentation. I'm glad that I had a chance to sit in. It was very interesting. I have to also be one of those people who admits I haven't been to the museum, but following this presentation, I will be sure to get there.
Please come
Right.
visit us.
I
If
will
you,
also I will also give a shout out because I went over to the Tai Chi meeting the other
Mhm.
day. It is located right next to MOCA, and it was lovely. I would only say that, and the class was fabulous. Anita Walgren is the person who puts it together. The only bad thing was is that they were building a house right behind the museum. And some of the banging was a little loud, but it didn't deter the people who were participating in the Tai Chi event. So, but I understand that in the wintertime, the Tai Chi group comes inside
Yep.
the
Yes.
museum.
Yes, it has to be a year and a half, 2 years ago that that started. Essentially, I mean, it's winter, it's cold. You guys know how gross it can be outside, and they didn't want to stop their practice or, like you said, the socialization and that kind of routine. And Tuesday mornings, if we usually don't have programming at that point in time, and the museum doesn't open to the public until noon. So at that time, it's like, of course, if someone's here to let you in, we can just arrange it and you guys have the room to yourself. It's nice and warm. We have those beautiful windows there. So more than welcome to use the space.
Yeah, it was very gracious of the museum to allow the group to come in. That particular day, it was lovely, and we were able to do everything in the park. So, but other than the house building behind, it was a great event.
Completely understandable. But yeah, if you guys we're open to the public starting at noon from noon to 5. However, if you want to set up a tour, usually what we've done, even if it's just one or two of you who say, oh, we have free time this day, email me and we can set something up so you can get a tour, say at 11 or something like that. But we just have to have prior notice about it. So if we have prior notice, we're happy to work with you, is usually how it goes.
That's
Okay.
great. That's wonderful. A lot of flexibility.
Okay. Well, I guess we're gonna be able to get out a little early today. It's only 10:45, but I'm sure everybody has other things that they can do as well. And I'm sure Rhea does too. But we just want to thank you for this excellent presentation, both about the Day of the Dead as well as MOCA. I mean, that's a wonderful resource in Arlington, and everybody needs to get over there and take a look at it. And it's certainly memorable with that reclining figure of the Statue of Liberty. That definitely catches your eye. So,
Oh yeah.
so thank you so much. And a reminder, and in fact, I see Liz put something in
Yeah.
the chat about next week. The last Wednesday of the month is always the time when there's some kind of a health and wellness presentation, and next week is no different. October 30th, we will have a presentation by Dr. Simran Chabra, who is with the Falls Church Foot and Ankle Center, and he'll be talking about diabetes and aging feet. So, and I assume we all have aging feet because we're all aging at one way or the other. So be sure and tune in at 10 o'clock on Wednesday, October 30th. And meanwhile, enjoy all the ANV activities coming up. And I hope you have a good week.
No problem.
Thank
Have a
you.
wonderful
Thank you
day,
so much,
everyone.
Rhea. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you, everybody.